Okay, so these are my comments about Vanilla Sky. The first thing I better say about this film is that it is a Tom Cruise movie, and Tom Cruise gives quite a few people the ick. For example, I've got relatives that won't watch any films with Tom Cruise in them because they feel that he kind of really embarrassed himself when he appeared on Oprah that time, spouting all his Scientology stuff. But on the other hand, there are people who are familiar with his longer-term filmography, movies like Born on the 4th of July and Magnolia, who appreciate that Tom Cruise is a good actor and are interested to see which films he's appearing in next. The movie itself never made much impact when it was originally released, and I think that's unfortunate because it's actually a rather good film. It definitely belongs in the 4-star category. It's also quite a long movie that changes into something more complex in its later half while still calling back to ideas that were introduced earlier. It has quite a mind-bending plot which will seem derivative now, but is nevertheless still quite effective. The transfer I saw was good. I saw it on 4K. With a couple of scenes in which the Monet-inspired Vanilla Sky showed off the HDR and triggered my pupillary light reflex, which is the way I tend to judge whether or not a film has good HDR. I kind of wish I knew a bit more about Monet and his oeuvre, because I don't really, I'm not too familiar with his paintings involving a vanilla sky, and I don't really know what significance it has artistically. Okay, so Vanilla Sky itself, the movie, it has an astonishing soundtrack. Highlights include REM and Underworld, as well as Radiohead. Rez or Cowgirl is used in it. I think it's Rez, the version without the vocals. The REM song is one off Automatic for the People, and there are others. Tom Cruise also gives a rendition of One of Us in one scene, which adds to the kind of musical, charm of the movie. The scenes of Penelope Cruz and Tom Cruise in bed together have a real sense of, they have a sense of real intimacy and humour, which is welcome to see in a film, and such scenes are often missing from current movies. I'm not sure how close an adaptation this is, because it's years since I saw Abre los ojos, Open Your Eyes, which is the original Spanish version of the movie. This seems like a combination of that film, Total Recall, the slow scenes in this, and the slow scenes in Total Recall, and also The Matrix. I do remember back in 1999 attending a seminar in which one tutor was talking about the strengths of Abre los ojos and how it had inspired The Matrix, and how wasn't it great that this low-budget small Spanish movie had such an inspirational effect on mainstream Hollywood, and how it was so much better than The Matrix. I personally think that's kind of, although it may be true, I don't think that the Spanish original is anything like as good as The Matrix, and it might not even be quite as good as this film, Vanilla Sky, though I'd need to rewatch it to kind of confirm that. Alright, the scarring prosthetics that Tom Cruise wears in Vanilla Sky are very subtle and very good. The scenes of the surgeons wheeling a delirious Tom Cruise into surgery while he sings One of Us, and they comment that he has a good voice, seem quite realistic. I'm sure many of you will be familiar with YouTube videos which show people either entering or emerging from anesthesia and making inappropriate comments to the nurses nearby and to the surgical team, and so that seemed fairly realistic. The acting is great in this film, particularly from Tom Cruise and from Timothy Spall, who plays his father's friend and is always good in films, whether it's The Boys from the Black Stuff back in the early 80s or even late 70s, through to his the British dramas that he's appeared in. Cameron Diaz was effective and scary at times as Tom Cruise's girlfriend in this. Vanilla Sky is a movie with successful nightclub scenes that actually resemble real nightclubs and play realistic dance music, and that harks back to the fact that this film has a very good soundtrack and employs some very good tracks. I found the end of this movie unexpectedly affecting. And finally, I'd say that this could almost be a Christopher Nolan movie. Perhaps Inception and Tenet are also in there as kind of visual descendants of this one. So overall, it is a good film. Actually, one thing I haven't mentioned is that the soundtrack to this film includes tracks by the Chemical Brothers too, which just goes to show how strong the soundtrack is for this film.